today on the G3 Boardroom, we are going to take a look at the best games for 3 players, the 2026 edition.
Is it 2026?
This edition is...
Oh, this is Now, again, these are the best. These are the games that we played at 3-player and decided that they excel at 3-player.
Yeah,
They don't make them. They're not necessarily bad games. They're just better at 3-player.
3 players.
yeah, and these games we played them at 2 and at 4 and at more, and we just found that 3 is the sweet spot.
Yeah, for very specific reasons too, which we'll get into, I'm sure. But yeah, these are good games. They're just better here.
Yeah.
Right.
We have a list of games that we think...
Thin segment.
Yes. And we have a list of games that we think are bad at 3 players, but that's another video.
Yeah, that's entirely different video.
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to start things off.
Oh, and these are in really no particular order.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, no particular order. Sorry, this isn't a tier list. This is just a list.
We have arbitrarily assigned values.
Yes.
You're just making it harder for the editor, man.
Yeah.
Screw that guy. So we're going to start off with a game that we all love, and it's called Abduction. Abduction is a game where you have ducks in ponds, and you are trying to match patterns that are on cards. So you're going to be moving your ducks in your ponds. You're using cards to move these ducks, and you're trying to match patterns to these cards, and you can score points when you do so.
A lot of pattern recognition in that one, if I remember. And if you're not on your A game, you could struggle.
Yeah.
My funny story about Abduction is my wife went away to a work conference, and I got a call from her, and she's like, "Have you ever played this game called Abduction?" I'm like, "Why, yes, I have." Abduction is fun. Who doesn't like little ducks, for one? But yeah, you imagine patterns, and this is also a game where I managed to steal a win from the Jaws of Defeat several times.
Yes.
And that always makes me like a game a whole lot more.
What makes this game best for 3 players is when you get to 2 players, we feel that it's just a little bit too, you're almost like playing on your own, and because there's 3 patterns out there. With 4 players, then you're getting a little bit of scarcity, and it's a little bit of frustration, and it's annoying because you're trying to build up to something, and then someone takes your card, and then it can just kind of be a little bit of a frustrating experience. I think the game maxes out at 4. I know there's an expansion
that has a green duck, if I'm not mistaken.
The wild duck.
Sick duck.
Yeah.
But the ones that we played at 3, I think are best. There's 3 players. There's 3 cards out there. It moves along pretty well. There's not a lot of direct. There's some, but not a lot of direct gotcha. In the game, or take that. But I think
there's less chance of someone swiping it with 3 players, but there is still a chance, so it does add the comparative value to it.
No, it's well balanced at 3-player. I like it a lot. It's certainly worth looking into. It's a fun little game. It's an enjoyable game. I like it a lot.
Yep, that's Abduction.
Next up is Horrified Dungeons and Dragons version.
I love anything Horrified. I love anything Dungeons and Dragons. You put these 2 together, and it's always a winner in my book.
Horrified is a great game system. I like it a lot. I think at this point Ravensburger is kind of beaten it to death with his papers that they put out there. But so I'll cop to that. But I really do enjoy the system. I like it a lot. And the reason why it's on our 3-player list, because if you get more than 3 players, that monster deck does not get any bigger.
Yeah.
And so you start to cycle the cards too quickly. So at 4 players, or especially at 5 players, 5 players is right out on this one. 4 players is too much. You just cycle those cards way too fast. And so I'll take a turn, and then, monster card. You'll take a turn, monster card. You'll take a turn, monster card. 4th player takes a turn, monster card. Now I'm host. It's back to me being first player, and I'm, you're just completely off the reservation.
A lot more bad stuff happens quicker.
Yeah. And it becomes... It already can be a tricky game depending on the version you play.
Yeah.
It's already can be a tricky game, and then you're just cycling those cards too fast. Now this one, the Dungeons and Dragons one, it has a cool Dungeons and Dragons
Yeah.
theme.
Definitely.
I really like that they added that D20 to
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
kind of made it more entertaining. And I think they really hit the mark on this
The
one.
portals were nice too. That way we were able to travel a lot farther without having to slog it all the way through the map.
You tend to have an issue with I cannot get on the train. You know?
I was going to say that because it was the classic monsters that had a train on the board, but there was no mechanic
It's
for
art.
it.
It's just art.
There's no
it's
mechanic for it.
It's not a train.
Somewhere
It's
in
art.
the rule book it mentioned something about the train.
It does not. Did you read the rule book?
Yes.
You didn't know you did not.
I remember I pointed it out.
Yay!
But as Jason, I love Dungeons and Dragons, and so Horrified is always a fun game.
And just try to get back on track a little bit here. Sort of to add to what he was saying, 4 people too much, 2 people is too
Not
little.
enough, yeah.
Because then you're not getting out your resources and you're not getting out
Right.
the things that you need fast enough.
Right. I think 3 is the sweet spot on that one. It's a good game overall. I would suggest you pick up any of the Horrified versions, but the D&D one, which came out most recently, really it sets it on a different plane. You have different characters that react to that D20 when you roll it, and it's very interesting. They did a good job.
And the monster minis were fantastic.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
so, yeah.
especially the Red Dragon.
Oh, yeah.
I thought was super cool.
Yeah, it was.
Well, pick up any version of Horrified except World of Monsters.
Yeah, I'll do that one.
Yeah,
I'll do that
don't get it. You're welcome.
If
Yeah.
you do, don't expect to use the train.
All right, so arbitrarily assigned to position number 8. Beat. Should we do flip 7 for number 7? Too late. So we've assigned flip 7. Flip 7 is a push your luck game. You're drawing cards, trying to get score, and if you draw the same card twice, out you go. And it's an interesting game. I enjoyed it at 3. Again, it's push your luck sort of scenario. You're messing with other people, but it's just a lot of fun. You know, if you get that 12, well, there's 11 other 12s in there. You might get another one. You know, but if you get the 1, I'm pretty safe. Oh yeah, but it's a value of 1. You know, so I enjoy this game.
This game is sort of designed to be played with more than 2. You can play it with 2, but I think it's a little bit boring as 2. Once you hit 3, then it knocks it up to like the fun zone. But I played the game with 4, 5, and 6, and it doesn't make it any more fun. It just makes the game last longer.
Is that much longer? Yeah.
Which I mean, that's not a bad thing, but I just sort of think that if you're looking for a game for 3 players, that is a good game to go for, because even though it's great at 6, it's just as great at 3.
I can't imagine playing that game with my performance as I did on the channel with more than the three of us. It would have dragged out my pain a lot longer.
Yeah, another cool thing about Flip 7, and this really shouldn't dictate whether or not a game is good or not, but the game is super cheap, and you can find it pretty much everywhere. You know,
Yeah,
you can pick out a Walmart, Target. You can probably find the thing at a Rite Aid or something. You know, it's a little box game.
well, if you think of
It's just a deck of cards. It's found everywhere and it's cheap.
if you think about the 3-player dynamic, if you have a gaming core group of 3 people, then you've kind of got like 3 people that are splitting up buying all the new games. So it might be helpful.
Is
to
that
have
how it
some
works?
that
Because
are
I feel like on our
cheaper.
channel I'm buying. Well, don't tell my wife.
Luckily, we have outside resource, other people that we know that can give us games too. So yeah.
Libraries too.
Who are these people? I don't know these people. No.
Next up on our list is one of my personal favorites, Philharmonics. This is a relatively new game, came out towards the end of 2025. And this is a space orchestra game. You are the manager of a space orchestra, and you have to move around the board and performing symphonies on different planets. And each planet wants you to perform a different type of symphony, so you have to gather the musicians and make sure they're at the proper level and gather the compositions so you can play. So you're moving around gathering things and then going and play. It's a 1 to 4 player game. it's a long game. It's pretty beefy.
It is. It is. And at its core, it's a worker placement game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I have finite amount of workers to put out here, and I have to maximize these things. I enjoyed it. It's got a unique premise. Space Orchestra is not something you get. You know, oh man, another Space Orchestra game.
It's in a space orchestra game aisle.
Right. You know, you don't see that a lot. My one quibble with the game, when we actually talked about when we recorded this, is that it doesn't fit back into the box properly. And the stage that you have when you try to put the guys on it, it didn't machine correctly. But that's a minor quibble. Other than that, I think it's a really good game. It's very interesting. It's a lot of fun. It kind of feels like, you know, space. If you took SETI and made it a space orchestra game, it's kind of how it feels.
And music.
Yeah.
You just took my comment. I was going to say when we were playing it, I was feeling it. It was very much like SETI, but I enjoyed it more than SETI.
I enjoyed SETI quite a bit because I stomped the crap out of you guys. But again, back to Philharmonics. I really like this one. If I'm not mistaken, it's also the first game you ever did on Kickstarter.
Might have been. Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying that it is a beefy game, a long game, but that's why it's best at 3 players because there's
more person, more time, much more.
Yeah, very, very little take that. Everyone's just sort of playing their own game. There's a little bit of, oh, this person's in a spot that I wanted to get to, but see, with 3 players, we did not encounter it that much, and that's not a core tenet of the game. It's not, you know, play music, block your friends from playing music. You know, it's not supposed to be that frustration. So with 3 players, you don't get that. I played with 4. It gets a little bit tight. And then, you know, with 2, you know, again, it's just kind of a, you know, it's a little bit too wide open.
And if I remember correctly, the worker placement, if you wanted to use the same item or skill that somebody else was on, you had to pay them. So with more people, that would definitely clog that track up and cause you to throw money back and forth that you might not have.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, it's an enjoyable game. I like it quite a bit. I wonder if you can even find that one in retail. I doubt you can. I think it was a Kickstarter exclusive kind of thing.
If you can find it out there, I would definitely recommend getting your hands on it.
Yeah, pick it up. Yeah. It's like I said, interesting premise, fun game. At 4, it would bog.
Yeah, unnecessarily, you know.
Absolutely.
Like we said on the outset, there's a lot of games that play much better at 4 than at 3, but this is one that I think, you know, you get very little added value as far as gameplay. It's great to have, you know, more friends at the table, but it just makes the game longer and doesn't really add anything to it.
All right. Next on the list is Martian Dice. It is a cool kind of a party game, dice chucker. Very kind of simple mechanic, but definitely a fun game to play. And I think the sweet spot would be at 3, because any more than that, it will just kind of drag on. Or otherwise, rather quick game you can hammer out.
Yeah, you know, it's essentially it is a dice chucker. If you don't like dice mechanics, this one's not for you because that's all there is dice. I like dice games. Dice games don't like me. So, yeah, this one is Jay's. I know he, you know, well, I'll let Jay tell his own story.
Yeah, I picked this one up at a Gen Con, and you're rolling for sets. You're trying to get sets of chickens, cows, or humans. And if you could do that, then, you know, you're getting lots of points. But if you roll tanks, you know, that's bad.
Tanks bad.
Yeah. If you roll little UFOs, those are
good.
Those are balancing out the tank. So you're kind of like aliens trying to kind of research these
abductions.
Yeah. You know, you're probing humans, chickens and cows, pretty much.
A lot of alien abduction jokes flow with that game.
Yeah,
that makes it fun.
But it's a very fun game for 3 players. It's also one of those where, I mean, you could play with more or less, but it's just, you know, 2 is, I don't know, just seems a little. There's not a sense of urgency because it's the first person to 25 points, and with 2 players, it's, you know, don't really get that sense of urgency. With 4 players, it just starts to slow down a little bit. Not bad. You know, not bad. It's a fun game to play with more people, but, you know, if you're looking for a specific game that plays really well with 3, this is definitely one of them.
And it's a handy little game. You took it with on travel.
Yeah, we
So,
took it. Yeah, we took a. My wife and I took a trip, and I just had it in my pocket because it's about the size of a deck of cards. With the 13 of the 13 dice you have in there, and then you just need something to use your phone, or you can have a little scorecard. So it's really small. We'd be sitting there, waiting in the lobby for a tour or something, and we, just play it on this teeny little table. So
I really enjoyed also that game also has a push your luck mechanic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you're rolling these dice. You have to take the tanks when you get them. The other things are your choice. So you want to get the UFOs to offset the tanks, but then you're trying to get a set. You want to get, like you said, you're trying to get that chicken, human, cow combo because it gets you a bonus. So sometimes it's like, okay, I've got 3 dice left here, and all I need is a cow. Maybe I can get that cow. Or maybe I'm like Bob and I'll just roll 3 more tanks. So there's that little bit of push your luck mechanic in there that I do enjoy. But yeah, that's a lot of fun for a dice chucking game. And again, it's all it is a sack of dice. It's enjoyable. It's a lot of fun. Then they had a cool at Gen Con. They had a cool UFO dice tower thing.
Cool.
And it lit up, and they drop stuff in there. That was a lot of fun. People at Calliope Games, a lot of fun people.
Yeah. There.
Wasn't they they were like a whole family?
It was like a whole family of people.
It was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of games by Calliope Games that are a lot of fun.
Or as Bob calls them.
Calliope.
All right, so next up is Time to Panic. Time to Panic.
It's always time to panic on this channel.
Yeah, most of the time it's like, oh man, we're going to lose. So Time to Panic, a deck of cards, and it's a timeline that you're trying to put in order, lowest to highest, and shenanigans ensue. You have to do certain moves, you have to draw panic cards, and things get messed around. You don't just say 1, 2, 3. No. Stuff happens. One of the things that's super cool about this game, before we talk about why it's good at 3 players, one thing that's super cool about this game is if you actually spread those cards out from 1 to the end, it creates a really cool scene, like a really cool mural effect. It's super cool. I liked it a lot. It's from Ivy Studio, and they tend to produce a lot of quality stuff as it is. But this is just a deck of cards. Well, it's a couple decks of cards, but it's a straight up card game. It's a small game for them, but it's really a lot of fun. Now, the reason why it bogs at 4 is the bad stuff that happens. And in every game there's bad stuff, you know what we're referring to. The bad stuff that happens when it gets to 4 people becomes a little bit too hard to manage. At 3 people, it's manageable. At 4, it can be a little much.
Because it does get hectic toward the end.
It does.
And if I remember correctly, it had a little bit of kind of like the mind where there's a little less communication. We're only tied to being able to say a few things or mark a few things.
Right.
And definitely with more than 3 people that especially don't play often together can be absolute chaos.
There are communication rules involved in a game. Like if you have a 7 and a 9, you're not allowed to shout out, "Hey, I got an 8. I can deal with that." Or I can put a card right in there. You're not allowed to do that stuff. You kind of got to watch it. Of course, the rules police are not going to come get you if you overstep your bounds on that one. But there are communication rules in there. You're right. Same thing like the mind. You're not allowed to say anything at all. And so, it does. And Jay, you're right too. It gets hectic at the end. You're kind of staging as the game plays. But then as soon as these cards run out, now you take them in rapid order. And things go haywire at the end. And the threshold for losing is very low. And it's like, if you have more than 6 errors, you're like, you've destroyed the timeline. Good luck being a frog.
But I like how they gave you other kind of categories. Say obviously it would be very difficult to get a perfect game. And I think they had if you scored between this number and this number, then you kind of only messed up the timeline. And that's also motivation to say, hey, we almost had it. Let's play again.
Right.
So,
There's also multiple difficulty levels. But believe me when I tell you, easy is not easy. This is the one that's kind of the easy mode. I believe it's called mild panic. Like a mild heart attack. It's still a heart attack.
Nothing mild about it.
Nothing mild about it. But there are 3 difficulty levels too. But again, when you get to 4, the bad stuff seems to overwhelm. 3 people is much more manageable. I like the game.
Yeah, beautiful artwork on this game too.
Oh yeah, like I said, that mural that comes out, super cool, good quality cards. And not only that, on their website they sell sleeves that are specifically designed for those cards.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hey,
which I have.
Bonus.
Next on our list is, much to my chagrin, Galaxy Trucker.
I can't believe Bob even wanted to talk about this game.
I actually really like the game. It's just I don't do well with it. You know, I finally did play it against your son and his girlfriend, and I did win.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
that
speaks more about them than you.
I'll take it.
Nice. There's an expansion to Galaxy Trucker. Galaxy Trucker's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
We always put it on this list because we love the game so much at 3 players. But they do have an expansion called Galaxy Trucker Do What?
Do what? What?
So, that's how it, refreshed itself onto our list this year.
And there's actually a very specific reason that I like this game at 3 players as opposed to 4 players. At 4 players, your choices of tiles are very specific. There are actually only 8 shield tiles. And so at 4 people, you're probably going to use all those. At 3 people, I feel like I've got just a little more wiggle. It feels just it feels much more constrictive at 4. And I can't, you guys know me, I build like a perfect ship every time. Because, that's just how I am. But at 4 people, I can't do that, and I don't. It feels like there's a restriction on it that I don't care for.
I was going to say too, with the event cards, there's usually only for the planets. I think there was only like 3.
It depends.
So there's always going to be, most of the time, you're going to have one person that's just SOL.
Yeah.
which is unfair. It's not as fun because the game is not about who gets the best tiles. The game is about everyone getting the best tiles they can, and then doing the best with all the stuff that gets thrown at them.
A balance issue in my
But this
opinion.
is one of those games that to me is wonderful because of the imbalance. It's one of those things that is gloriously unbalanced. And so, if you're the last to choose, you can be host. Don't be last.
Yeah.
So,
and depending on how you're situated at the table, just by randomness, all the good tiles could be over there.
Yeah, they could be
and
over
I
there.
can't reach them.
And some people, I don't want to name any names, Jeff. He's leaning over. He's hoarding these. He's hoarding these tiles. It's like, move your arm. Oh, what? I wasn't doing anything.
There could definitely be some like hand smacking.
There has been
in a pretty competitive group of players.
And that's another thing that makes me laugh about Galaxy Truckers. It's actually 2 games. It's 2 completely different games. The first game is, it's 2 phases, but the first game is you're drawing the tiles to build your ship. The second thing is what happens to my ship. Now, I know you normally don't see too much of what happens to your ship because your ship gets blown up right here.
Crashes at a space dock.
Careens down to the planet's surface. But it's two totally separate games which require, 2 different kind of mindsets. It's a lot of fun. It plays very quickly. And it's just a good game. I like it. Galaxy Trucker definitely picked that up.
Next up on our list is Panda Royale.
Panda.
I let you have it.
You let me have it this time.
That's the funniest part of this game is the mini game of who's going to start singing Panda when you suggest playing the game. This is a dice chucker. It plays well at 3 people, better than more, because the more people you add on, there's a lot of mathing that goes on in this game. So a lot of people get confused.
Filthy, rotten cheaters.
That too. So it's a lot easier to kind of keep tabs on where everyone's score really is when you're at 3 players.
I did like the drafting mechanic of that one.
That
allowed you to use kind of a strategy that you were more comfortable with instead of having to be locked in step and then fighting everybody else with it.
Yeah, and there is some push to your luck in this game as well. If you get the red multiplier dice, you can sometimes end up with a negative score, and so you're kind of pushing your luck. I'm gonna do well, and you can really blow that up, or you could really sink into the dungeon real quick. It's a fun game. It's just math rocks. It's just you're throwing dice, you're doing math, and with that in mind, this to me is also it's a fun one to play with a younger crowd. Your students in your house, because it helps those math skills out.
Yeah, it's not calculus. It's just it's just a lot of math. Yeah.
It's got some algebra, yeah. You know, but it's a fun little game. The only quibble I have about the game is it's called Panda Royale for no reason.
Yeah. There's no pandas nor royales.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But, you know, Bob did some really cool art.
I had fun with that.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't do the art
Well,
myself.
no. But Bob hit the button.
Yeah. You typed a few appropriate prompts.
It
I tell you, the AI got yours perfectly.
did. It's a big fat panda with a Star Wars hat. It's beautiful.
Jay and I were okay. It was still fun, though. Yeah. And I think the 3-player spot on that is kind of the sweet spot, because I think we talked about having 4, you know, kind of might mess up the draft a little bit. And otherwise, you know, a little more chaos, people not paying attention to who's scoring what.
Don't play with cheaters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Person who taught me this game, it's a rotten cheater.
Was not me that taught you.
No, it was not. No, it was
Because
not.
I never cheated.
I often cheat, but it's always accidental.
Same. That's pretty much me. Except for...
Never cheat on purpose, it's just accidental. You know?
Whoops.
Next on our list is Valka from
Valka.
Terrible Game. Valka?
Valka.
Valka?
Valka.
Did I say it wrong?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
We're just mimicking you.
This was a...
Got him right in the mind.
a bit, it wasn't necessarily a deck builder, but it was definitely a card game.
It's called
it-
drafting.
Drafting,
game.
that's
Yeah.
right, it was drafting. You had 2 lines of your warriors, per se, and you can basically beat each other up, which was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it's got a really unique art style to it as
Yeah,
well. I remember
definitely.
my one character had like a trucker hat on. It was hilarious.
And mine had like worms or snakes.
Yeah.
as their hair.
The art style from Terrible Games makes this game, and the art style for all of the Terrible Games is kind of a hard rock,
Yeah.
Death metal
death
kind of.
metal type vibe to it,
Yeah.
which is awesome. But it's very distinctive and very cool. And,
Very similar to the Black Mold. I think that was another
yeah,
terrible
Black
game.
Mold's another one. Yep.
This one had more color, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Black
Black
Mold
Mold was
is
a little rough. Some of the color schemes. But
I liked it. I liked
yeah,
it.
I mean, it was great design.
it's cool and it's unique, but it's also not what we're talking about.
Yeah,
So
I know.
That's a
Back
Valka.
We could talk all day about the cool artwork in Terrible Games. Yeah.
So you have 2 rows of fighters. Your fighters up front fight. But you can also, if you match the specific group that the guys are in, then you get bonuses as well.
Yep.
And that's where I kind of triumphed when we played it on the channel.
Yep.
Was I just had more combos than everybody else. One thing this game does suffer a little bit from is there's a bit of piling on.
Well, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking that mechanic of having that back line can help with that, because if you only
Yeah.
have one guy in the front, usually you would say, okay, knock the guy out who's down.
Yeah.
But if you do that, then it brings up
Doesn't
his whole
bring up the
front
line.
line.
So, I mean, this game does a good job of sort of defending against the pylon,
Yeah.
which is the Achilles heel of a lot of 3-player
Yeah.
games.
Well, there's mitigation for it,
Yeah.
but it can suffer from it, at least in the beginning, because like, oh, Bob hit Jay, I'm going to hit Jay.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
And, you know, I also seem to remember that the lines can be a detriment, because if you have one guy out there, there's very little you can do now.
Exactly.
And now we're not killing your guy, and so good luck progressing with your points. You know,
I think there were a lot of response kind of character attributes too. So if you are getting beat up, it's like, I'm gonna throw my fireball, and it was able to like hit you back as you were attacked. So
Yeah.
I think there was a lot of like you said, mitigations or mechanics that kind of balanced out the.
It was an interesting game. I remember building up guys. You put extra health on, put an extra weapon
Boons
on them,
and-
boons and stuff. And it was entertaining. But, the art to me was just, it's a unique style. It's top notch. It's a lot of fun. All right, so our last game we're bringing to you today is Foundations of Rome. Foundations of Rome to me. Foundations of Rome. Rome! Vortex of modern civilizations. So Foundations of Rome is one of these games that, to me, the game it's incredibly overproduced, and that's what's fun about the game. Is the pieces are absolutely beautiful. What's interesting to me about this game is you bring it out, and the box is this tall and this wide. It looks like the Borg, set on
Can
a
I be honest?
table. Yeah.
I was intimidated when I first saw the box.
That's exactly
I'm thinking,
where I was
oh my
going.
God, how complex is this game going to be?
Yeah, it's like,
Right.
oh, this
How
is
long
8
it gonna
hours.
take? Yeah.
And that's
But-
exactly where I was going with that. I've taught a lot of people how to play this game, and every time I bring it out, they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
they're like great."
I don't know. It's only noon,
Yeah.
dude.
Sure, we have enough time to play. I'd rather play like Campaign for North Africa.
Especially when I bring it out to people who, are maybe newer to the hobby.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, great! Board game guy brings out a 6-hour monster."
Right.
But the game, especially when people know what they're doing, it's 45 minutes or
Yeah,
less. It's
a
just
short one.
Yeah.
it's just in that box because it's just so overproduced and so cool. And the game is expensive. It's price prohibitive for sure, but it is a beauty of a game. It really is.
And it's a good one too, where even if the game goes 45 minutes, the end of it, you're like, let's play again.
Let's play again.
And just as a reminder, these are the best games for 3 players to play, not the best games to buy.
yeah.
So find someone who has this game, and you'll love playing it with 3 players.
Yeah. Find me. I have it. I'll play with you.
Well, to me too, the game could have been played with tiles as well. I mean,
It
the
can.
buildings could be tiles. Is there features? Are there versions of it that way or no?
There is.
Oh, okay.
There's
But it's just so cool to have those pieces.
It is. They,
Yeah.
they released another game. Arcane Wonders released another game. It was Foundations of Metropolis, and it is a tile game, and it retails for about $50.
Got it.
Foundations of Rome, the expensive version, will cost about $300.
And those minis are solid. They're
Yeah.
not like 3D printed, cheap plastic, man.
No, they're
you could
they're
probably
awesome.
drop it on somebody or throw it and dent
Do some
somebody.
damage.
We're not advocating that.
No. But it's at its core, it is a basic game. You have a grid. It goes 1A through like F12, something around there. Sorry if I get those wrong. It might be H. Anyway, so the grid is out like that. Property cards come out. You buy the property cards. You put your marker on those things. When you have markers together, you can put buildings on those things, and the buildings are where you generate money, you generate population, and you earn yourself points.
Housing and civic buildings.
But it's just the core mechanics are solid. It's a basic game, but I love this game. It's just so beautiful to get on the table. It announces it has table presence. Here I am.
We are playing a game over
We
here.
are playing a game.
And as far as the 3-player is kind of a sweet spot, there are adjustments to the size of the board. But 3 players, the game moves so fast.
I
and
like
it's
it
just
at
really nice.
I like it at 3 for exactly those reasons. At 4 or 5, it does get a little crowded.
Definitely.
It becomes much easier for people to snipe your card.
Yeah.
I need B7, and you know it.
Yeah.
And so does he, and so does he, and so does that guy. And so it doesn't get over to me.
Well,
It becomes a lot easier.
Your turn is done, then the card you want comes up, and then it's got to go completely
All
around the
yeah.
table.
And everybody
Yeah.
sees them. Everybody sees them out there. They can see your money, and they know you can buy it.
Yeah.
And so, I find at higher player counts, while it's still an enjoyable game, you are far less likely to get out those large buildings that are really going to put up the points for you. It's
little bit
harder to get
external.
4 in a row. Someone's going to see it. Someone is going to be. This happened to Jeff last time we played. Jeff knew he was out from like. This is played in 3 rounds. He knew he was out from like the middle of the first round. And so now he's just playing jerk. I'm just going to take your card because I see it and now you can't have it. That's a strategy. It didn't win the game, but it sure cheesed everybody off. But no, it also plays super quick.
Yep.
And so it comes out. It's intimidating enough to scare the tar out of my wife. She didn't even want to learn it.
And I think even your stack of your shelves of games, that one is like sagging.
Yeah.
It's got to be on the bottom.
Yeah.
It's got to be the foundation of your gaming stack.
Right.
Definitely.
Right.
In addition.
Yeah, well, I got these cheap plastic shelves that are starting to.
Oh,
I told
okay.
the wife about it. She does not care. So,
She's like, you spend enough on the games already. You're not
You-
going to buy the premium shelf.
You don't need marble shelves.
I do. It's got to look nice. But yeah, Foundations of Rome, you know, again, it's not one you're even going to find in a store. You can find on like something like the Game Steward or something like that. But
Or Gen Con.
or Gen Con.
Yeah.
Hey, when I saw it at Gen Con before it released, we were like, this game is never going to release.
Yeah.
This is far too expensive. It'll never hit a production run. And yeah, it did, but yeah, it did. But yeah, Foundations of Rome, really good.
Yeah, try to find that if you can do so out there. So that's our 10 games that we think play best with 3 players, and we ought to know because that's all we do is
Yeah.
pretty much play with 3 players. You know, like I said, you know, a lot of things that these games have in common are that they might play better with more, but they start getting great at 3, and then if you add more, you're just adding more time. And I think another thing, the games we picked, there's not a lot of maybe head-to-head stuff. So you're able to play the game, play the mechanics, engage your strategy, you know, without too much luck of the draw
Yeah,
or
not too much gotcha.
you know, other things, you know, sort of messing with you, and that's what we enjoy, and that's what you know, we try to bring to you.
Yeah, I think all of our games were all competitive except for Horrified.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's an interesting thing too, because I tend to enjoy
The
cooperative
Yeah.
opposed to competitive.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I think-
Interesting.
I think when we came up with our list, that's why these ones rose to
Time
the
to Panic was a cooperative.
Time
one,
for
sorry.
cooperative.
yeah. And a lot of these are not directly competitive. You know,
Yeah.
Martian Dice, I'm just trying to get to 25 points. You know, I'm not like taking your points away.
Oh,
Yeah.
but
So-
we are hurling insults at you. When you're trying to do it.
Of
That's
course.
competitive.
Of course.
Or reveling in your pain.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
I got 0 again.
So I think that because these games, you know, that's what made them rise to the top of our mind, you know, as competitive, because it's like, oh, wow, these are competitive games that you can play with 3 players, you know, and it doesn't totally throw off the balance. You know, it's not like, you know, we played some where if the guy in this position is just, you know, getting
piled
in a
on.
two front war where the 2 other guys are, you know, don't. So, you know, if you have any games that you think we missed off this list, let us know what your favorite 3-player games are, and leave us a like if you like this video, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. We do this all the time. We'll see you next time.